Welcome back, all my dear faculty members. This is Dr. Balamurali, Organizing Secretary of this e-FDP program and Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmacy Practice, MLRIP. A very good morning to one and all, and welcome to the third day of our 5-day faculty development program on artificial intelligence in public health, enhancing pharmacy curriculum and practice. First of all, a very happy World Pharmacist Day to all the inspiring pharmacy teachers over here. Our guidance shapes the next generation of pharmacists. On this wonderful occasion, it gives us immense pleasure to host this faculty development program on artificial intelligence, which can help us, the pharmacy teachers, to improve our standards by adapting to the changes in the technology and gives us a chance to incorporate the AI-related functions in our academic curriculum. For today's session, we have another prominent guest speaker, Dr. G. Shwetha Kumari, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmacology, Apollo Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, Hyderabad. Her talk is going on PharmaAI Unleashed, the ultimate game changer. So without any further delay, now I would like to invite Mrs. Sridevi ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutics, to give a brief introduction about today's guest speaker.
A very good morning to one and all. This is Sridevi. I wish you all the very happy Pharmacist Day. On this occasion, I take the privilege to introduce our guest speaker for today's session, Dr. G. Shwetha Kumari. Good morning, ma'am. She is faculty from Department of Pharmacology, Apollo Institute of Medical Sciences and Research. She is highly skilled, hardworking, proactive, passionate, and ardent medical learner. Not only in the medical field, but in the other department also, she is a keen learner. She has done her doctorate in medicine and pharmacology from Kamineni Institute of Medical Sciences and Research Center. She has completed her MBBS from Usmania Medical College. And not only that, she has done her MBA in healthcare management. She is currently working as faculty in the Department of Pharmacology, Apollo Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, Jubilee Hills, since December 2023. She is highly experienced in conducting the activities in the pharmacovigilance activity at ADR monitoring centers. She worked as Telangana State Nodal DRTB Medical Officer, Hyderabad. So she has held many positions in the government sector of Government of Telangana and the TB and Chest Hospital located at Aragata, Hyderabad. She worked as Telangana RNTCP TB Medical Officer, ETCO, Hyderabad. She held ex-member secretary for Core Committee for Drug Resistant Tuberculosis Center, Government Chest and TB Hospital. Worked as medical in charge for initiation of drug Bedaquiline under Government of Telangana. And she is a certified GCP trainer. She has won first prize in the Pharmacas National Pharmacology Conference. She has given many poster presentations and oral presentations at several national and international conferences. She has published many review articles and research articles in highly referenced, peer-reviewed national and international journals. And not only that, she is a certified Pravina Hindi scholar. So she can act as even a Hindi teacher also. She is a life member of Indian Medical Association and Global Association of Physicians. I'm very privileged and highly excited to introduce about you, ma'am. Thank you, and please hand over to Mr. Balamurali to continue the session. Thank you, one and all. Once again, a happy World Pharmacist Day to all the pharmacy fraternity over here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sridevi ma'am, for the nice introduction about our guest speaker. So now I request our today's guest speaker, Shwetha ma'am, you can start your presentation. Shwetha ma'am, are you online? Dear participants, there is a small internet issue near madam's space. Please be on hold for 2 minutes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you are audible. You can please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Shwetha ma'am, you are audible.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Audible, ma'am.
Yeah. I'm extremely sorry. There has been an issue with my Wi-Fi. Thanks a lot for that wonderful introduction, Sridevi. And first, let me thank the Mallaredi Institute of Pharmacy for considering me to be a part of this program. And thank you, Dr. Nakajoti, Madam, and Dr. Arunabha Malik, sir, also. And especially thanks for Mrs. Samyukta for coordinating to me. So shall I share the screen from my end, or is there anyone who can help me out with the slides?
Yes, ma'am. You can share your PPT.
Yeah, okay then, wonderful.
అంతే ఇక్కడ మీరు కాంపిటీషన్ వస్తారా అని చెప్పేసి అంత పని కట్టుకొని చెప్పాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది.
Yes, is the screen visible? Can anyone confirm me once?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, the AI is the newer concept for us because it's only been very recently that uh, we are a part of the AI has become a part of our day-to-day life. That's the thing. Just so basically, the AI has recently started to get up its application in various sectors of the society, with pharmaceutical industry as one of the four front runner beneficiary. So the thing is that whenever we are speaking about AI, it comes from it. So even if in nowadays, if you see, you can see many what do you say, even right from a very lower strata people to upper strata, we all are depending on the AI this thing. Uh, to even to navigate in a day-to-day life also. So even this AI has a what you say inculcation, or what you say has been part and parcel of our even the medical pharmacies this thing. And so what is the basic definition of the AI? AI means refers to the machines or software mimicking human intelligence to perform tasks and make decisions. That is, they just think it's not like an calculator, this thing, but it's like more and more human approach is there in the AI. So you may be thinking that what is the difference between a software and an AI? AI is the person which is closely related to the human intelligence, whereas the software is already what we have fed, and they just have a protocol to follow like this and like this. That's all. They do not have an input of their own, but AI has an input of its own. That is number one thing. And coming to the concept of this thing has been to simulate the intelligent behavior and critical thinking was first started by the Alan Turing in 1950. So wherein he had developed a Turing test to find whether computers were capable of human intelligence or not. Now, an extension of this thing was done by John McCarthy. He described the term artificial intelligence as the science and engineering making intelligent machines. I request anyone if can they just mute it out, and if you have any doubt, please just signal it something, then I can stop and mute it and we can take up the question and answer also. So what is the basic concept of this, where it started? So as I told, it started at around 1950 from the Alan Turing. And right now, if you see all the forwarding things, now, uh, now see, if you can basically understand this sequence of the timeline, we can see the Alexa has come in only 2014, wherein we ask it and it tells us options and it gives the whatever we want. But AI is something even more forwarded to it. So it's hardly been 10 years, but we have seen an extensive development in the AI also. So what are the subfields of the AI? Just a second. I think this is visible, I guess. Yeah. So what are the subfields? See, AI does not mean everything under the umbrella which can give an opinion to you does not come under the AI. AI, we have many things like machine learning, deep learning, and computer vision also. So machine learning is a basic thing that it learns from us and it applies to that and to future similar scenarios. That if, for example, if I am there and I got a patient and I'm using the AI of machine learning. So at that time, what I'm telling is like I will tell this computer that there's a consolidation patch, and if this patch is similar to whatever the future patients of mine will have, and if they have a similar patch, then you can diagnose it consolidation. That's all. Now the machine learning will apply that to every patient. Now suppose if I get another patient having a different pattern of consultation, then it suggests that yeah, previous patterns were diagnosed as consultation. So now it can be, but again it will need a human intelligence or a human intervention like a radiologist or a pulmonologist or any expertise person in order to input their thing that yes, is this consolidation or not? That's the thing. Now, coming to the deep learning. Now, deep learning is a one step ahead of the machine learning. Deep learning is what, like, we just tell the algorithms to the AI, and it has its own artificial neural network. That is, once I'm telling that the consolidation patch looks like this, the consolidation patch looks most of the times in this upper lobe or the lower lobe or any of the lung tissue, then deep learning systems will apply its own thing. So it's basically 99% of the time it does not need a pulmonologist or a radiologist intervention. Now that is known as the deep learning. So one step ahead from the machine learning. Next comes the computer vision. Computer vision is a process by which a computer gains information and understanding from a series of images and videos. So what are the most common AI? See, I prefer not to go into in detail of the individual AI models, though they are currently using also many of the centers, even Massachusetts Institute is currently using many of these AI learning models, because AI learning models, these models have a very different set of protocols, different set of initiation point, end point, and all those things. So we have generative adversarial networks, recurrent neural networks, convolutional neural networks, long short-term memory networks, transformer models, reinforcement learning, Bayesian models, deep Q networks, autoencoders, graph neural networks. So these are all the different models. Some of them are machine learning, some of them are deep learning, some of them are computer visions. So based on these networks, we are inculcating the AI into the AI, what do you say, into the pharmacy practice, into the medical practice, into the diagnostic practices. Next comes so what is required? So let's speak about the main important part of our this thing, that is um, money. So if without involvement of the money, I think any industry will not work. Coming to this, now the traditional method of research and development. Now, suppose for example, you also might be aware because you are parts of the pharmaceutical industry. So even for one molecule to get into this, there's a very huge R&D associated with that. So R&D association of 1 or 6 drugs has been studied from the survey of 10 biopharmaceutical firms. So what we have observed is that cost of compounds that were abandoned were linked to the cost of approved compounds. So when we are comparing all those things, so per tax out of pocket per approval was $1,400 million. Okay. Next, per tax capitalized per approval was almost $2,500 million. So overall, the capacity, this capitalized cost were found to have increased at the real annual rate of 8.5%. 8.5%. That is, for example, if I have started on some molecule like semaglutide around 10 years back, now the next year if I have to invest in some other similar product also, my cost will be increasing in an 8.5%. This figure may be looking smaller, but if you go into the $1 million ranges, then this figure also very much burden both on the company and also for the involved CROs and everything. Now, with post-approval R&D costs have estimated increase of around almost similar to $3,000 million. Now, so why I want AI in the pharmaceutical industry? So the survey has found that 80% of pharmaceutical and life sciences professionals are currently using AI. Now, what is the need for the using of that? Because they are involving, because first of all, to shorten the drug discovery process. Now, for example, the traditional methods, when I was a part of the nodal DRTB officer, to initiate bedaquiline. So when the inception of the bedaquiline was started, so at that time what we had is like we had to do a multiple drug discovery thing. So even if 1 or 2 labs gives us the, when it gave as the drug discovery, this thing formula of the thing, so we had to validate it. So we had kept it around 7 to 8 labs in order to ensure that the validation was proper and it was not just a coincidental discovery. Okay, so we had to ensure that that discovery was 100% sure that that works on so and so TB cell lines and all those things. So that we have done. So compared to that, now when I'm doing that thing, it took around 10 years for the company to confirm the beta equivalent molecule. Now I will be cutting it out to just 1 year. Now just imagine this thing for a hard hitting diseases or for any really difficult to treat diseases. Now if I'm doing this technique to drug discovery, so it cuts down to only 1 year. So I can save this 5 to 6 years. I can invest these 5 to 6 years into the trials and into many things. That is number one thing. Now, AI applications can potentially create between 350 billion and 410 billion in annual value for pharmaceutical companies. Now, see, the amount of expenditure that they are doing compared to the outcome, there is very this thing. So you may be concerned, ma'am, it's AI involvement is more beneficial to the companies when compared to this people. No, but just imagine, even if the company is earning, it's okay, let's be frank, they are investing in R&D, they have to get it. But still, at the same time, when I'm getting a very good molecule for the drug resistance, even for the superbug, now currently AI is being used to analyze the drugs for the superbug syndrome. The superbug is like no antibiotic under the sun on the earth is able to that. Now we are investing in the drug discovery for the superbug. So I need not wait for 5 to 6 years. Yes, with extensive, a bit more money profit to the company, but I can get the drug within 1 year. That is number one thing. Next, it also leads to the cost savings for 70% per trial and timeline reductions for 80%. That is, if I have to start a drug, so for example, there's a vaccine, this thing is happening, vaccine trial is happening currently in India. Now it's been year 6. So when we started that, I'm a part of that vaccine trial for TB. So when we started, it's been 6 years and we are still in the phase 3. Now, but when I'm using the AI, I can cut down to that to around 2 to 3 years itself, the trial period. So within a decade, I can introduce the vaccine into the market. So it's all a very well good rosy picture that the AI is projecting into the our industry. That is number one. Next, second, coming to the AI could reduce the time to develop a drug by 4 years and save around $26 billion. No, so what is the purpose of saving that $1 billion? See, we can think that just one thing is now this saving is useful when suppose so actually my Wi-Fi is still not in on, so that is the reason I'm not able to so
Okay.
video. So once it comes back, my video will get automatically switched on. Okay. Yeah. So that's one thing. And so $26 billion, when I'm telling that it saves the money, conventional method of drug discovery and drug development and all those things. 10 years, at the end of the 10 years, if the phase 3 is not proper or phase 3 has given out a newer set of side effects, so all these years which have invested $1 million, they will be wastage. So if I get to know that yes, this drug can also have this side effect by the end of 3rd year or 4th year of starting the trial, so I get to save much more money, both the manpower, money, and also at the same time I can invest this into newer development, newer formulation, or any changing the isomer like enantiomer or cis isomer, or I can change the isomers and then retry it. That's one thing. Next, coming to this, it's supposed to be projected 80% from 21 to 2028. That is number one thing. Like 65% of the users believe that AI has the highest impact on manufacturing or the supply chain management in pharmaceuticals. At the wherein we are having an annual rate of 52.7% from 2021 to 2028. Okay. So what all we are having? AI, we have understood why we have to have it in our these things, day to day this thing. But at the same time, the AI has the machine learning. So we are having a perception, recurrent neural network, feedback or forward network, Boltzmann network, convolutional neural network. These are all the artificial neural network. Compared to that, we are having a decision tree algorithm. And with that, we are having instance-based algorithm. So all these things inculcate into the machine learning, and that is where the AI comes. So what are all the applications? See, when I'm telling it's so good. So let's see where all we can apply. So it's just like we have the derivatives currently right now. So we are getting right from the milk products to even the medicines or even OTC medicines we are getting on it within a 10 minutes. So same thing when this thing has been so good. So we are having an applications of the AI. Now these, mind you, please let me tell you, these are the limited number of applications that I can project right now. There are n number, right from the robotic surgeries also we are using AI for the patients. For example, yesterday itself we have inculcated during a pulmonology surgery. So we have inculcated robotic thing, and in that we used an AI in order to inculcate to where to go, where not to go, how to identify the bleeding tendencies also of the this thing. Okay. Next, coming, so where all we can use? We can use in the clinical trial design. We can use in the monitoring of the clinical trial. So we need not have a human monitoring in the clinical trials, wherein even human error can happen. That's number one thing. And coming to the quality assurance and the quality compliance thing also we can use. And pharmaceutical manufacturing we can use. And pharmaceutical product management, drug discovery, pharmaceutical product development also we can manage. That is one thing. So how they generally apply? So when I'm telling, it applies the machine learning and deep learning. It uses a supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforced learning. That is, supervised learning means I will tell if A is B, then B is C, then A is C. That's all. So it will apply automatically that A is C for every scenario. But whereas I'm telling unsupervised learning, in unsupervised learning, we are having that when I'm telling it's like A is B, B is C, and A is C. Now, if I get another thing like a D, which is similar to C, then automatically the machine will apply it as A is also equals to the D. So it applies its own brain and everything. Reinforced learning, that is, intelligent agents can observe the environment, take actions in the background, and get rewards in the return. That is, uh, it uses, or what do you say, a type of whole its own intelligence. But just like as I told, suppose I'm telling a consolidation patch will be like this, and the machine will ask me that, yes, it is looking like a consolidation patch, but with different features. So what should I do? So it applies the basic differential diagnosis, and then it asks the opinion for the doctor. So in the machine learning, we are having supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforced learning. In the supervised learning, we are having classification, regression, and classification and regression. Whereas unsupervised learning, we are having clustering, association, and dimension reduction. That is one thing. Now general workflow is there. We are having, that is, what is the process of starting of this thing? So we are having a data. We are having a pre-processing, feature selection, split data, training data, ML model selections, training models, evaluation models, predictions, training models, next we are having that was what the machine learning. Now we are having direct learning. So this is just a flow chart in order to tell. Hello, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Audible, madam.
Yes, thank you. So in the direct learning models, also we are having a structure based non-structure. So these are all the flow chart. It looks very Greek and Latin, but at the same time, this is what the first initial process wherein the smooth working of the issues are, what do you say, or wherever the utilization can happen, we can use the AI. So what are the visions? So is it so extensive? So where all it has been implemented, or what is the current stance from different countries? So we generally follow the US models for the drug, what do you say, approvals and everything for the trials. So in the US, there is a separate R&D of the Trustworthy Air and Chamber of Commerce says that US is uniquely situated to lead this effort. So even if you go to higher countries or different countries, even they utilize, they are having the AI in the part and parcel of the this thing. And there is also a release has been happened with the blueprint for the AI Bill of Rights. That is, during the utilization of the AI into any of the pharmaceutical or the medical field. So what are the basic criteria and what are the rights for the person who is handling the AI and the person on whom the AI is being utilized? So there is a very different set of rules, regulations, responsibility, duties, and also set of protocols to be followed. That is one thing. Next, in the UI, even in the EU, that is European nations also, they are having this AI Act as a first of its kind. So even they have inculcated the AI into the many of the situations. For example, recently we got to know an article, a publication has happened, wherein the AI has been utilized in the Massachusetts Institute in order to conduct a trial, wherein the selection of the subjects has happened through the AI. So there was no human intervention for the selection of the subjects for the groups. Now let's come into the first section of AI utilization, that is the drug discovery. I'm sure the previous speakers have been very good, very extensive in highlighting on this part. But just as a brief note, I would like to cover this. So AI in the drug discovery has happened right from the drug design and also the chemical synthesis for the drug repurposing also, and even for the drug screening. So in all these factors, the AI has already been situated. For example, when the drug design or drug screening used there, so it was all hazy, art into the dark, when we just trial it, so it is coming as a drug form or not, then they used to use and then to extract and do all the better aware of all. Segregate a molecule can understand the drug designation, and also when drug screening is happening within a day due to utilization of the AI. And even the prediction of the toxicity, so what are all the key components or what are all the receptors or where it can act. So all this has been to evaluate, we used to take a lot of time, but currently with the using of AI, we are cut down the timing to very smaller time. Okay. Next, my concept I would like to highlight more and more is, so AI application in the healthcare. So right from the rare disease diagnosis and treatment. So previously what used to happen, so we used to have a multiple set of this thing, investigation, multiple doctors' opinions in order to diagnose a very rare disease. But currently using the AI, so once we have, it's like a large pool. See, I can of this Goodman-Gilman textbook on the spot most of the times. So similarly happens is extensive, but at the same time, it does not portray all the information at the times of the need. But AI is the problem is not with that. So even if a minor note or minor point can be highlighted by the AI, so with that I can easily diagnose. Oh, sorry, just a second. Yes, I can easily diagnose a rare diseases. At the same time, virtual nursing assistants. Now, for example, this is not a completely AI which has been involved, but this a minor version has been inculcated, used in the what do you say, AP, that is Andhra Pradesh, under the India UHS, wherein the remote PHCs are currently using the virtual nursing assistant. See, we cannot send nurses or the doctors to a tribal. So we have a team in order to 3D visualize the patient. And this also has been utilized in the patients wherein they're having a deep-seated cancers. So we cannot cut open the patient all the time to see where is the extension of the cancers. So we use the AI in order to understand the 360 degrees view of the cancer or any other lesions. Next, coming to the fraud detection. See, human can err. Humans are the people who can do mistakes, but AI cannot do the mistakes unless and until the type of information that you have. Here, okay, I'm really sorry for this. There's a problem with my system. Just a second, I'm really sorry. Yeah. Even cybersecurity, AI robo-assisted surgery. Now, just as I told, now when we were doing the pulmonary surgery, we had these robotic things. So when the pulmonologist or the surgeon is doing the surgery, at that time they have to see, once they open up the chest, they have to navigate according to the morphology and the presence of the organs in the patient's body. But AI is also has inculcated this human type of perception in order to use or the cut the tissue at the same time if there is bleeding is there, so how to cauterize the bleeding vessel. So all that has been utilized. Next, coming to personalized healthcare plans. Let's be very frank. All the patients are not, no two patients are similar. So in order to develop a personalized healthcare plan for the patients also, AI suggesting the plan right currently that, oh, the radiotherapy, what should be the dosage of the radiotherapy, what is the chemotherapeutic agents, the preferably to that patient of genetic pool. Now, suppose if I am there, I am having a different genetic makeup. So, according to my genomic study, when I get the DNA done, so AI will suggest that this and these drugs are more preferable to her. And accordingly, the doctor manages the treatment plan. Coming to the cancer region, now this is one huge area wherein the AI has been very extensively used, because no two cancers, even if the patients belong to the same family and having the same type of cancers, their treatment plan will be different. So in order to manage that, in order to have breast cancer with a receptor positive breast cancer patient. So in that patient also, what we do is like we try to make out a plan using the AI technology. Next, dosage error reduction. Now this is one huge this thing which has been very fruitful, which has been very successful. For example, suppose a patient comes to one of the doctors and the doctor writes, instead of 50 milligrams, no, let's see, even doctors can do mistakes. So 50 milligrams, he writes by mistake 500 milligrams. And the patient takes and the patient develops some or the other reaction or even has a fatal reaction. Now, when I'm using AI, the AI automatically tells that there is no 500 for this patient, or there is no dosage, it's a very high dosage. It will at least prompt. Then the doctor recorrects the prescription. That is one thing. Next, medical diagnosis. Now, suppose the doctor may be missing some of the other part in diagnosing the case. So even that AI has been utilized for this. Yes. So this we have already covered. So why basically we'll be using drug discovery is like they can predict the potential. This we have already covered. So coming to the clinical trial uses. So why, where, and how we can use the AI in the clinical trials? That is, we are having a clinical trial design. That is, suppose if I am keeping a question to the AI, or I have, I suppose if I am to see, like for example, recently there has been in the Massachusetts, I was telling. So semaglutide effects we have been observing. So during the trials of semaglutide, during the drugs discovery and all those things, we never found out that semaglutide can be causing an optic neuropathy. But suppose if I have used AI, so AI, once I'm using, maybe AI would have suggested that vascular complications, that is sudden stoppage of the blood of the flow, or sudden what do you say, reduction in the blood flow or constriction of the blood vessels. So that when we were if we had to observe then maybe many of the blindness which was caused by semaglutide would should have avoided. Now same thing, this clinical trial design, maybe AI would inculcate that these are the parameters that you need to see. So there is a Men's syndrome and all those things. So they associated with the Men's syndrome was associated with the vascular this thing. So maybe that correlation could have brought it by the, yeah, that is number one thing. Next, coming to patient identification, recruitment, and enrollment. Now, again, as I'm telling, humans who are selecting, so even then the humans can by chance miss out, and then we may have to remove those subjects from the trial subject analysis. But when I'm using AI can properly identify patient identifications with the recruitment, and it can suggest that yes, patient number 37 or 1 and 5, these are the ideal candidates for the inclusion of the trials. That is number one thing. Monitoring the trial. That is, suppose when we are trying the for the blood drawing and also for the bioequivalence observations and all these things. So when I'm doing for the AI for the monitoring of the trial, so it can observe that yes, this has been whether the timeline has been maintained or not for the trial adherence. Next comes the patient adherence and endpoint detection. That is, some of the subjects can move out, or they tell that tomorrow, today I cannot come for the blood test, tomorrow I will come. Then the trial, in order to not to stop the trial, humans have the tendency of telling that, okay, it's okay, you can come tomorrow. But no, that gives a false report for the trial patient adherence and endpoint detection. So all these things to avoid that we can use the AI, whereas we are having automated document review, real-time safety monitoring of the patient, digital twin models, treatment response prediction, patient recruitment, optimizing the protocol design. So what are the advantages? Now, as I tell, faster time to the market. So human intervention, delays, and all those things will not happen. Cost efficacy, regulatory compliance. So when I'm telling the AI system that these are the regulatory controls for the phase 3 trial or phase 2 trial, so AI itself will ensure that sticking to the protocols, or the sticking what they say sticking to the multiple rules and regulations of the trials that we can cover. Next, data analysis and management. Now again, coming to here, we apply the statistician does, so he applies according to the his own this thing, sometimes chi-square. But the AI, when we are inculcating into the matter, the AI decides which proper statistics test to apply and whether the normal distribution of the study has been achieved or not. Next, personalized medicine and improved patient outcomes. So for all these things, we are having the this thing. Next, where all we can use. So clinical trial enrichment, the usage to reduce the population heterogeneity, prognostic enrichment, predictive enrichment. This enrichment is like, suppose I have used 100 subjects. I have done using all the human manpower only. So for this thing, one person will delay 1 hour of blood sample. So because of that, the results may vary. And ultimately, if the results are plus or minus, it happens, they can do something over their management and to ensure that yes, it is 100% result properly. But when I'm using the AI, so it takes at a proper time, it follows the proper rules, and it analyzes proper. So this is like whatever the input that you're keeping into the trial, so it will be a proper fruitful result. Next comes the clinical trial matching, automatic eligibility assessment, simplification of the trial description, automatic trial recommendation. So the trial, as I told, the trial selects. So patient number 1, patient number 10, patient number 33 will be very good subjects for the group A of the trial, like that. And the other patients, some other numbers they will to suggest that group B group. Next, automatic event lagging, that is diary decrease episodes, medication, administration, health monitoring, study protocol, diary medication, administration, record keeping. So this all will be done by the AI. Hence, there is no human intervention. So there is a lesser risk of the error. Next, dropout risk forecast. So suppose some, like as I was telling, when we were doing semaglutide, so there were almost 50 subjects who were dropped out. Now, these had a tendency. Now, when I'm making, a human is making a note of these things, the humans can, well, no, they will come like that. But the AI is like, it will predict, it give a predictive value that subject number 3 has a higher predictive value of dropping out of the trial and not sticking to the protocol. So I will monitor that patient more. See, ultimately, the AI needs the doctors or the pharmacists or the whole trial team. But when I am having a predictive value of one of the subject to be moving out of the the study, then I will having more and more concentration on him. Ensure that he completes the trials. That is number one thing. And also the data cleaning and complete selections of the final clinical. So in order to evaluate the proper data outcome or the this thing, so even for that, I'll be using the AI. So what are the challenges? So it's not whole hazy, good green to go rosy picture with the AI also. But the problem with the AI is a lack of high quality. See, unless and until I tell that this patient has a so-and-so condition or so-and-so lipid profile in this thing and tell the AI cannot predict. AI will not do the guesswork. So I have to give it a proper data in order to give its AI a 100% result. Next, coming to data privacy and security concerns. Now, suppose any patient we will be taking their blood sample. So this data privacy can anyway can be hacked sometimes. So you need to have a very good this firewall systems. Next, coming to regulatory and ethical considerations. So when I'm telling is strict this thing, so these rules and regulations, so it has to stick. But there sometimes there will be like according to the protocols also there will be some of the other levies. So AI will not apply levies. That is one thing. I would like to know, does anyone have any doubt so far? Because next we'll be moving into the disease diagnosis. That's completely a different set of pool of understanding of AI. Okay, thank you, Jansi. I was thinking that anyone might have slept off already with this talk. So, what in the AI in the disease diagnosis? No, this was all a clinical trial and everything. Okay, there is no problem with this. This plus or minus kuch hota hai to. But with the disease diagnosis, what is the thing? So with the AI, I'm using the AI for the identification and determination of the early predictive stage of the disease. More than the treatment or the diagnostic phase. Now, suppose if I get a patient, suppose when I was in the TB department, I was getting a patient, so I have to get an CT done in order to understand the extension of this thing. And now sometimes there will be very difficult to diagnose cases because we do the lesion will be very deep seated in the lung, in the lower lobe. I cannot operate, I cannot do biopsy. I cannot ask the patient to undergo another surgery just for the biopsy. So the patient will be like, okay, just for the biopsy, I do not want to undergo this thing. So it's okay, it gets treated or not, it's okay. They'll be completely hopeless. Sometimes cases come. So I can use the AI, as I told, in order to understand whether there is a lesion. Now, for example, currently we are having an increased case of breast carcinomas in India. So sometimes mammogram is the one of the good tests to detect the breast cancer. But when the patient gets into the mammogram, either due to some inflammation or something, that small spot of the carcinoma gets hidden. So I'll tell the patient this thing also, okay, this is not done. So let's get an MRI or something like that. Even then, there is a very small lesion will be there. That will be like tentatively, it could be a carcinomatous like that. So I cannot treat the patient using a tentative word. I need a definite this thing, whether it is there or not. So I can use the AI for the identification determination of the early predictive stage. So when I'm inputting multiple reports into the AI suggests that 19 or suppose something like 70-80% the carcinomatous patients had a similar presentation. So I can tell the patient that this is looking more like a carcinomatous than the benign. So I would like you to get a biopsy done or something like that. Then the patient will be more willing to get it. So I cannot just say, no, ek biopsy kar lo, dekhenge bolte. Oh my God, the doctor is trying on me. She is experimenting on me, and patient will not be coming for the treatment. And that is even more dangerous because patient will be suffering in the down the lane. That is number one thing. Now, so such like what is the use? It's okay, madam. Lesion hai, so let it grow, then we'll get to know. But no, sometimes the lesions as they grow, they become more and more aggressive. Now, same thing when I apply to my TB patients also. The TB patients, like if when the TB lesion, TB spot is very small in the lung tissue, then I can treat it in a very 6 months regimen or 1 year regimen. But once it becomes extensive, it spreads to lungs, it spreads to bones, it spreads to nerves, it spreads to brain. For me to treat the patient, because then the patient has to take around 2 years to 2.5 years of the treatment. It is treatable, but again, the patient has to be burdened with the drugs 2 to 2 years. 2 to 2.5 years, like that. So hence early treatment, early diagnosis, early start of the treatment will save the patient. Now, I'm very this thing for the most of the lung tissues because I've worked in that department for a very long time. So in the tissue diagnosis, we are currently using for the tuberculosis detection, and also in that tuberculosis detection, also we have a different patterns of identifying. So once we take out this lavage, this thing, tissue fluid from the lung tissues, so we send it for the analysis. Now humans, what happens? When I'm keeping a human in a laboratory, this thing, and it takes a tissues, so he will not be mixing, or he'll be taking from a corner. That corner of the tissue will not be having a drug resistance bacteria. So he'll be giving, let's say, drug sensitive bacteria report. But when I'm using AI ensures that from which part of the tissue or where to concentrate, and from there it takes the tissue and will get to know whether a drug resistant bacteria is there or not, and what is the pattern of the drug resistance. So suppose if I'm using 4 different drugs, HRZ, there's isoniazid, rifampicin, pyridomide, ethambutol for the tuberculosis for first preliminary case. So at that time, if a patient is having this type of problem, so I'll be sending, and it can identify whether the problem with the isoniazid, rifampicin, or pyrizinamide and ethambutol, and which gene has been affected related to that drug. That is number one thing. And tuberculosis discrimination, that is whether it, most of the times that we have seen is like around 50 to 60% of the patients which were diagnosed as tuberculosis did not had tuberculosis. They had other lung tissue fibrosis, or they had any lung cancer with the different patterns of the projection. Okay, so that also I can utilize the AI into that and ensure that. Next, coming to the treatment monitoring. So when, suppose for example, we used to get the isoniazid resistance patterns of INHA and CAS-A. There are 2 different genes for the isoniazid resistance. So for me to understand through a human laboratory personnel, in order to understand which gene has been affected in that drug resistant patient, so I have to wait for 1 week. But currently, utilization of AI, I'm getting the report in 1 hour, 52 seconds only, 52 minutes. So just imagine where is 1 week of diagnosis, whereas hardly 2 hours of diagnosis. So I can ask the patient to come in the morning. By evening, you'll be having the report, and by evening, I'll be starting the treatment. So patient will start the treatment around 6 days early. And that may be saving to the patient. We cannot expect that may be saving savior to the patient. Next, coming to severity estimation. Now, as I told, we are having a lung tissue. So if I'm having the undersurface of the lung, the lesion, I cannot open the patient's chest just to see how much is extension of this thing. So severity extension, like extension of the lung tissue, extension of the lesion into the various tissues, I can understand using the AI. Now, coming to this, so how it happens. Now let's go into one step into the diagnosis. So what I'm doing, I'm keeping an image, I'm keeping gene sequences, I'm keeping text information and everything. Now, the AI will use a convolution method, pooling method. That means I'm giving 1,000 information about that thing. So AI will do like, I don't need this for the patient. So I will be concentrating on 100 information points. That is a pooling. Then again, a different convolution sector will come according to that again, for that pooling will see. So AI will do is like, first, what is the extension? So for that, it will pool a matter. So then it will see like, okay, extensions to hai, but what is the pattern of the infection? That again separate subset. So fill that, it will fully connect itself. Then it will go into model construction, feature extraction, ROI segmentation, that is region of this, what is interest. So which region the AI has, the patient has to, patient may be spoker. So he may be having this all black tissues. So AI concentrates on that. It cannot concentrate on the disease diagnosis. So it will identify the point of the interest lesion, and from that the data will be collected. That is known as radiomics. Now with all these things, the output will come. That is, what is the diagnosis, whether the patient has the TB or cancer or whatever, it is there or not. Next comes the treatment following. So what is the mode of drugs that the patient can be utilized? Now, let me tell you, you need a doctor for the treatment plan. Only to tell what is happening with the patient, for that we'll be utilizing that with AI. Next comes the prognosis prediction. So when I'm using the prognosis prediction, that means I will be understanding so and so extinction. So if I follow this plan, so how much will be the patient's betterment will be there or not, that I can even. Suppose when the doctors previously, the doctors used to say with extensive experience, 10 to 15 years oncology, that okay, if you get a cancer treatment done for the tuberculosis or sorry, cancer treatment done for the lung cancer, 5-year survival is 25%, 30%. Now AI can predict, and that same thing will be communicated to the patient by the doctor. That tentatively, so and so is the prediction value for the esteem molecule. Next, coming to, suppose the patient has come with an extensive, I can see the patient is having cold swelling over the chest, he's having rib fractures. But see, I cannot palpate each and every rib in order to understand where is the fracture line. So even if I'm sending the patient for some X-ray and all those things, because of the leak of the blood, because of the tissue damage, sometimes the imaging of this thing will be doubtful. So what I will be doing, I'll be using CT multi-sectional multi-axis CTs. I'll be inputting that, and the AI will tell with a rib segmentation algorithm, that is what is the rib damage has happened. Now, suppose if the rib damage has happened near the spine, it may or may not be visible under the CT if the patient also has a spine injury or any extensive tissue damage over there. Next, so I can use the AI for the diagnosis of the lung diseases and also the ribs damage. Now, coming back to this, again, this is also one more good thing that I found. So I thought of showing it to you. Now, in the AI model, tuberculosis, as I told, it takes a pool, it classifies as the branches, whereas which branch, which bronchus had the problem, locally in that bronchus, which lesion is having, and segmentation branches will be done. So I can use the AI in sample augmentation, that is using an algorithm of unpaired sample augmentation of chest X-ray images of pneumonia patients, multi-skill networks was developed. All these things has been utilized to in order to identify the proper pathological location and extinction and the resistance patterns of those things. And at the same time, with the RIG segmentation, I can diagnose the lung cancers or other lung diseases. So there are all else I can use the AI. No, so there has been a smartphone app which uses the AI to detect the malaria utilizing blood from the finger stick. Now imagine, this is so good. Most of the times when we take the lab sample, so we have to take the malaria patients at the peak of the fever, and the person has to take the first wipe out the first blood. The second blood drop has to be used for the smear study. But with this thing, with the AI utilization, I can use it with a single finger prick. I can diagnose the malaria case, whether the patient. Now, this is most and most useful not to our day-to-day. This is more useful in African nations. Now, just imagine there is a malaria resistance patterns has been, even the artesunate resistance we are able to find there. So for those patients, we can diagnose. Next comes is interpret the retinal fundal images. Now, suppose if I'm an ophthalmologist, when I'm seeing the retinal fundus, this thing, so sometimes the retinal images or the blockage of the retinal, I cannot diagnose as a diabetic retinopathy. Whereas the AI can correctly diagnose whether the patient has any retinal damage or not. Next, detection of depression, suicidal ideas. So I can give a questionnaire to the AI and the patient inputs the data. So it's like so patient can directly answer the question. Based on that, then the AI can, this person is having 35% incident risk of developing depression, or this person has a 15% risk of going towards suicidal tendency. Then I will be observing more and more that patient and will giving more and more care. Next comes the patient will be detection of ASD in children. And this is atrial septal defect in the children. So atrial septal defect is very difficult to diagnose, but you can utilize this thing AI for that. So recently, if you might have heard, I'm telling that you are having a risk of running into heart attack, cardiac arrest. Then, as soon as he got that alert, he went to a nearby hospital. And before the onset of the attack, he was actually, frankly speaking, he was able to avert that heart attack. So imagine the patient need not face that heart attack event. Even before facing that event, the patient was able to get a medical intervention. Next, capsules are taken by mouth to enter the stomach and emit signals to the wearable sensor. Now, this is one more slide on which I will be explaining this more. Now, even facilitating the Parkinson's disease diagnosis, management at home, and all these things. So we are using this what is AI, and also in some of the patients, especially post COVID, where the children were thrown with gadgets. So children have started developing autism and also ADHD, that is attention deficit hyperactivity syndrome. Certain kids will be always active, hyperactive. They want a chocolate. We give the chocolate, even then they're not happy. They keep scolding the adults. They start to hurt themselves. So even in those children, also for the diagnosis, we are using the Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay then, wonderful. So recently, like mpox outbreak was there. So WHO told it's outbreak was there, but उससे पहले और एक virus का था. So when at that time they told no, it's not an outbreak. So how do you think? Have the people went and did the study on this roads? No. So they have input the data that so and so cases were there, so and so pooling of the patients were there, or this patient had contact with 100 more persons in the airport. So based on that information, AI will tell that yes, it is not an outbreak tentatively. It does not give 100%, never it gives 100%, but it gives a percentage. So based on that percentage, we have to decide whether outbreak was there or not. Next, detection, prevention, response, recovery in pandemics and epidemics. So when they told that mpox has become a health emergency and not other viruses, Nipah virus case also came, one of the Nipah virus case. So Nipah virus mortality also we had seen. One mortality was seen in Kerala. So at that time, why they have not declared this is an epidemic? Because based on the data, number of contacts of primary zero case COVID-19 AI model for the irregular seasonal influenza. So previously, ఇప్పుడు లేదు అంటే now after post COVID we are seeing less of this Asian influenza virus or the avian flu viruses, because we are using the self-adaptive AI models in order to predict whether there has been an outbreak, whether there's been an epidemic, or can it be considered as a pandemic. So now, for example, Taiwan is the country which is using machine learning feed-forward propagation neural network model. Output precision is 90% for the influenza. Most of the times we get the influenza cases from the China and Taiwan areas only. So for that, whenever there is a single case, so if the cases outbreak of influenza is there or not, the Taiwan is using this neural network model. Now, this neural network model, I already told, in the machine learning, there are many models, right? It is also one of that model. So, and also, it is also using anonymized mobility app to incorporate to understand the influenza in Australia and USA. So AI is here to study. The countries have already started using this AI in order to predict any outbreaks. Because see, we all know how much we have literally cursed China for the COVID-19 outbreak. So similarly, no country wants to be in a bad books of the world. So that is the reason the moment they get even a single influenza case or even the season starts, they utilize these AI models. Next comes one more important thing that I would like to tell to everyone is vaccine-derived polioviruses observation. Now, you might have seen there was one case in India, in the Gujarat area, where was the vaccine derived, that this patient did not get polio due to polio virus. It is because of the vaccination that he took. So, even if a single case comes, so we will be utilizing. For example, even the polio is not yet eradicated from the Pakistan and the Middle East countries. So, there also they are using that whether the this polio has come to the patient with the vaccine or without vaccine, or whether that patch had the people who have taken that batch of vaccination, whether they had other types of this thing or not, similar symptoms. Next, the same thing has been used in the Malaysia also for the dengue. Now, just imagine in our country also, this is currently it's a hot season for the dengue, but in India we cannot use the AI because again the patients is like, why you don't know medicine? They ask the doctors and even the pharmacist also. See, when we are incorporating, I used to have a team. So in that, we used to have a pharmacist, we used to have a lab technician, we used to have a senior lab technician, and all those things. So for everything that we put it on the paper, they ask for the 4 different opinions, and they also deny these 4 different opinions. Especially with the Indian, I'm sorry to say this, but with the Indian mentality, they are ready to pay thousands of rupees just for the glimpse of their favorite movie star, but they're not ready to pay even 100 rupees for a doctor or for a pharmacist or someone else like that. So because of that, the AI inculcation into the Indian market has been very difficult. But the other countries are very, very fast ahead of Indian subcontinent in order to inculcating the AI models. So here they are using Bayesian and network machine learning techniques. Now again, going back to the few slides before, that there are multiple learning models. For that we are using this. Next comes dengue detection has been used. So once we keep the blood samples or the sample to the AI, the Malaysian what the AI does is the Bayesian model. It classifies and it analyzes the individual slides. So it's not like a single slide observation, just like how the laboratory people do in the lab. So multiple slides will be analyzed at a similar same point of the time. Then the AI tells whether the dengue is there or normal. The patient is normal. Okay. Next, multi-layer perceptual neural network classifier has been suggested for the diagnosis of yellow fever, taking 7 psychological symptoms of the yellow fever. And see, just mind you, the prediction value is almost 88%. That is, if it tells yes, it is definitely yes. If it tells no, it is definitely no, like that. At least tentatively, but AI has a more predictive value. Next, any doubts so far? I hope no one is sleeping. Yes, thank you.
No, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So coming to the next thing, that is where all I can use AI into the pharmacovigilance. Now, pharmacovigilance means it's a very good thing in Indian that we have started. So till yesterday, we had this pharmacovigilance week celebrations also. So it goes for around 1 week. So what it is like, basically, it's based on a adverse drug reaction. That is any drug reaction which will come to a patient when the patient is taking a drug either due to for the treatment or the diagnosis or any other prophylactically. Now, suppose a patient has come, suppose I got a fever, I took a paracetamol. So, if I get a reaction, that is an ADA reaction. Now, suppose if I'm taking a prophylactically an iron tablet, so even for that I got a reaction. So, that is also an ADA reaction. Now, suppose I went to some scanning or something like that, and they have given me contrast. After taking contrast, now suppose if I get a reaction, even for that, even that is an adverse drug reaction. So anything, maybe if someone has the doubt, any question, they can just post it in the chat box. I can take it up at the end of the session also. So when I'm telling that ADR, adverse drug reaction, now mind you, if the patient gets a reaction because the patient has taken these things under the therapeutic levels only. Suppose if I take around 10 grams of paracetamol and I get a reaction, that is not an adverse drug reaction. Suppose I get a paracetamol 500 mg or 650 mg, then I get a reaction, then that is an adverse drug reaction. So not the poisoning cases, only the things within the therapeutic doses they're taken and got a reaction, that is an adverse drug reaction. Now, why is it important? Because this is important because we get to know whether this formula can cause so and so reaction. For example, when I was a part of the Massachusetts Institute of medical eye clinic, so I was a part of that study. So what we have observed is like semaglutide was causing blindness in some of the patients. So that ADR was not seen during the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials also. Nowhere we have seen a single case of semaglutide causing blindness. But during the phase 4, that is post-marketing this thing, we have observed that semaglutide also can cause diabetes in some of the patients. So for that cases, we have taken out the ADRs and we are following up with the pharmacovigilance. Okay. So because of these things, understanding different types of these things, so we have inculcated the AI into the pharmacovigilance also. Now, so how do they process? So that is, so how does the AI inculcate into the case process? That is, suppose if I get a rash, I will tell my doctor, the doctor will input my what is the type of the rash, how severe was the rash, was I getting hospitalized or ICU में admit होना पड़ा rash को, तो वो सब information doctor लेता है, उसके हिसाब से treatment देता है, but that he will be inputting into the AI. So the AI will process all this information and it tries to understand. See, suppose if I am the person to understand, I will not understand the chemical formulation of the because semaglutide pe if I have to write, I can write around 2000 pages book also, mechanism of action, its pharmacokinetics, its chemical structure, and I can write easily 2000 pages. But I will not remember 2000 pages. I will not analyze 2000 patients for single case. AI itself analyzes. So drug relation information, cause of the reaction, it all propagates and it tells, yes, there has been a predictive value, or this is, yes, is a very reasonable area which has happened like that. So how do I enhance? First understanding is the risk factors. Suppose if I start input this thing to the AI, tell that this person has so and so genetic composite, like so for example, CYP3A4 malformation is there in this patient. So the AI will suggest, suppose the moment I'm keeping a rifampicin or any other related drug, the AI will suggest that this person may be having a risk of developing ADR because the patient is having so and so genetic pool problem. That is number thing. Or if I tell the patient history had a penicillin allergy. So the patient AI will tell, do not write amox, do not write any other penicillins. So it will suggest some other thing like that. Next, coming to the serious reaction. When the ADR reaction to a drug includes death or any kind of life-threatening health scare, that is, patient developed gangrene because he had developed, the patient had received some drug and around the cannula, the gangrene has developed, patient had to undergo amputation. That is a problem. Permanent disability. Even that is also a problem. That is, patient, I have started kanamycin to the patient. Patient started hearing deafness and the patient was continually on kanamycin. He will lose his ears. He cannot hear anymore. You have to keep a cochlear implant to that patient. Or congenital conditions, then it is called serious. So even I can predict the serious reaction so and so patient. Next, coming to signal. When the initial causal relationship is nothing but this drug can cause this reaction. There is already some literature or anything. So initial causal relation based drug and adverse event, then from this is known as signal. Now, for example, semaglutide. We observed the study sample was 16,000 plus samples. So when they started observing this reaction, the first case which came, so that was a signal for us. That is semaglutide. The first patient who developed blindness due to semaglutide, he is called a signal. So we have to anticipate whether this signal can be repeated again and again in different patients. So adverse event reporting systems also we can use the AI. That is for the clear explanation for time limit. So there is a time limit. Suppose the patient has developed ADR. Within 1 week, I have to report to the central agency. And within 2 weeks, I have to follow the patient. Whether the patient's upsided or there or not, I have to follow up. So there's a time limit. For this time limit, AI can be utilized. And it can develop the proper protocol that yes, last week you have shown this ADR. follow up this week. I may be forgetting, I may be having some function at home or some other thing. So, but the AI will inculcate. Next, individual case safety reports. So, there is a strategy known as cognitive computing, which combines the NLP and deep learning. Both of these things in order to understand the data quality, by automating formerly resource-intensive activities, pharmacological vigilance analytics, and benefit risk assessment. Now, suppose a patient is there, he is maybe having a risk of paracetamol. Previously also he had, but except paracetamol, nothing will work for him. I cannot start anything to him because that disease does not have any other this thing. For example, not paracetamol, some other drug you take, ABC. So ABC Tapa, I cannot start any other drug, but the patient also already had a risk with ABC. So if it, yes, you can start at this dosage and increase to so and so dosage, that can be done, told by the AI. For example, when I was a part of Kaminini this thing, so at that time we had a case of capacitaben. So capacitaben was one of the oncology drug. So when the patient started developing, she developed extensive blisters all on her body. So at that time we had a human intervention. There was no AI at that time. So what we did is like we reduced the dosage, we increased the duration of the drug. But that so again can be suggested by the AI within few, because at that time we had a meeting for around 2 days. Then we decided the 3 patient with the AI. AI can half day time or even 1 minute or even 1 hour. That yes, go along with this. So patient need not suffer more like that. Next comes the sentiment analysis and social media model expression. Now you have to admit, especially the medical field, pharmacy hone do, nursing hone do, whatever the doctors hone do, we are more and more prone for the social media scrutiny. So AI also understands that, okay, so and so this thing is happening. Now they are blaming so and so drug. So AI can even predict that this drug had more amount. For example, I will like to tell this for this. There is one of the major pharmaceutical company in India. So around 8 months back, because of that tablet, whichever it was, it released into the market, many of the patients had a severe reaction. Now, those people, some of the people did not come to the doctors. It was all over India. They started posting in this social media platforms. Understanding that we have a separate team, so they understand. Now, just imagine AI is there. And so company, so and so drug had many complaints over the social media. So at that time, we will revert back and we will understand what is actually there's a relationship or not. Now, this 8 months back scenario, what happened? We had a team of 10 members. We sat together, we analyzed, and we reported it. You won't believe, we have written an official government letter to that company to stop the production of the drug and to undergo again a quality assurance. And they found out that there was a very big loophole in the quality assurance. That is the reason patient had developed the reaction. Now, 10 members sitting on around, we sat around 2 weeks. So 2 weeks, 10 members people sitting and understanding and then telling. So it takes a lot of time. But the AI can tell it in a very shorter time. Next comes the genomic data integration. That is, suppose I get a patient, I do the genomic study, I will include that study into the AI. So whenever that patient will come, the AI will tell, don't start this medication, he is having a genetic problem like this, he is having that problem, so don't start this group of the drugs. So for example, as I told, any with the cytochrome enzyme mutation. So the AI can tell, see, at the end of the day, I cannot remember one small minor drug very rarely used, which I can use in my clinic, which I use once in a month, one for one patient. I cannot, may or may not remember the genomic affiliations of that drug. So the AI will tell me that so and so drug had so and so CYP affiliation. So do not start this drug to this patient. So it's my job gets very much easy because of the AI. But as I told, not all the pictures are the rosy. Not all the roads are with the rose petal untouched, and it's not all the roads are very easy to walk through. So what are the problems? Data quality and quantity. Now, when if I'm telling AI, paracetamol 100 mg reaction, that I need to give it a proper data information. If I'm not giving, then AI will not function like that. That is just like if I do not teach the AI properly, it will not get a good marks. The similar thing. Data entry, what is the dosage that I've started for the 10 patients? Unless and until I tell to the AI will not tell me. It's just like suppose if you do not tell the proper location in the maps, it cannot tell you the best route, right? In the Google Maps. Suppose if you keep in Usmania Medical, you want to go to Usmania Medical College, but you keep Usmania General Hospital. Obviously, it will tell you a wrong route. There's 2 to 3 kilometers gap between those medical college and general hospital. So you need to properly give a standardized data to them. Next, biases and fairness. Now this sounds, ma'am, what is this? You have already told there is no biases. Human biases can be avoided with the AI. But when I'm telling AI, suppose if I'm linearly planning to see more and more towards one data encrypt. So AI will first try to rule out that data encrypt. So that you need to avoid it. It's a software thing that you can avoid. Next comes a regulatory compliance. Now, what is this? First, we discussed that regulatory compliance can be done more and more with the AI. But here in the pharmacovigilance, AI compliance, regulatory compliance with the pharmacovigilance can be affected when I'm telling the patient takes multiple drugs. Suppose the patient has taken Augmentin, patient has taken paracetamol, patient has taken Levocet, and has developed rash. So when I'm telling, if I tell that Augmentin first drug like that, but patient has taken Levocet, and because of that he has developed rash. So the AI will not be able to differentiate. That is one problem. Next comes the resource and expertise constraint. See, when I'm telling, suppose I am a very young, if suppose a person tells that paracetamol 500 mg rash. No. If I am there, I should tell rash over so and so area with so and so 10 centimeters. Patient had severe reactions and all those things. Like that. Repurposing. I'm sure, I hope everyone is aware of the thalidomide. Thalidomide, when they started, it was an excellent drug. And pregnant ladies ki morning sickness avakunda ki vomiting giving thalidomide. It was excellent because the woman did not had a single episode of water day in thalidomide. But what happened down the line? After delivery, they developed children with limb problem that is known as seal limbs. అంటే పుట్టిన పిల్లలకి their hands and legs were very small. Body was normal, but only hands and legs. So they became handicapped for whole life long. That happened because of the thalidomide. Hence, thalidomide is currently contraindicated in pregnant ladies. But thalidomide tarvata anta peda molecule and the double witty they have developed. So once they started evaluating that, they found that thalidomide is an excellent drug for the multiple myeloma. For severe skin reactions, dermatological reactions. So if the female is pregnant or about to become pregnant, we will not start thalidomide. But thalidomide is one of the treatment modality for the multiple myeloma cancer. So that is known as drug repurposing. Ante oka drug ni a purpose ki ka some other purpose ki. So currently we are having so many molecules. So we have started using the AI in the drug repurposing also. So for the data collection, data pre-processing, computational drug repositioning approaches, ante ee drug ee receptor ki kaakunda inke receptor ki panchestadi, like that. Evaluation of repositioning approaches. So whether I can make out a newer drug out of already present drugs. Say for example, iron undi, citrate ఒక group లో వాడదాం, ferrous citrate ఒక group లో వాడతాం, ferrous ఇంకొక దాంట్లో. How clinical risk everybody we can use the AI for the repurposed drug like this. Now this is just సో మెషిన్ లెర్నింగ్ ఇంకే కొత్త వాటికి వాడచ్చు, మెషిన్ లెర్నింగ్ అని చెప్తాను. దాని తర్వాత ఆ అప్రోచెస్ తర్వాత న్యూరల్ నెట్వర్క్స్ తోని వేర్ ఆల్ ఎల్స్ ఇట్ కెన్ అప్లై, హౌ ఇట్ కెన్ బి అప్లై, నాట్ ద సేమ్ మాలిక్యూల్. See, if you just see two different molecules, one of the excipient with one of the combination you can use for one disease, for some other combination you can use for some other disease, like that. So where all we can use అనేది చెప్పొచ్చు. Example, coming to the baritinib, it's a drug used to treat the rheumatoid arthritis. So there was a company, benevolent company, that has found out using the AI that AAK1 is one of the factors that is a regulatory factor in the process of the SARS-CoV infection also. So by generating a drug with that activity without the obvious side effects. So I can use it for the treatment of infection of that thing also, like that. Next, Isfan and Danter were able to identify new potential therapeutic options for treatment of metachromatic leukodystrophy disease using artificial generated whole pair organoid simulations of that disease. So we are able to develop a newer options for already known diseases with already available drugs. So easy it is, because you do not again go into the drug discovery of all that molecules and all those things. This was for the drug repurposing. Now, where I can use for the supply chain, that is, the drugs have formulated, the drugs have been discovered, the drugs have been made. Now, how to inculcate the drugs into the patient, up to the patient. So, end-to-end process visibility. అంటే జనరల్ ఏమవుతుంది, పేషెంట్ క్వాలిటీ ఇప్పుడు మొన్న వన్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫార్మాస్యూటికల్ కంపెనీ అని చెప్పాను కదా, దాంట్లో whole QA and QC was managed by the humans. So that was the reason the QA was not able to run, because one of the person was like opening, that day I had a bit of this family, this thing. So that is the reason I approved QA, but without testing, because I'm sure you might be aware, every batch of the drugs have to undergo again retesting before releasing into the market. So that was not done in that company, and they managed it somehow. Because of that, these patients had the reaction. Now, end-to-end process visibility and AI manages it. If it did not go under the process, it will not be released outside, like that. Spot process inefficiency. So is there any this thing? So even it tracks the timeline. That is, make 1 day pattali QA ki, like half day pattali, but it has been sent in a half an hour. So it will give a red light, flash out like that. Generate actionable insights in real time. That is what to be done. If suppose something happens, so what are the options available? And I think provide visibility for efficiency in control, optimizing pharma inventory management, keep inventory as low as possible. So it can suggest, it's like, yes, okay, 2 batches are enough. Some things like that, the AI itself can suggest, and accordingly the company can manufacture. Improve decision making based on warehousing and demand. Even AI can monitor. See, sometimes if you see, if suppose any insects, rats, even AI can detect there is some abnormal moving thing has been found. So then also even warehouse management also can be done. And how much should be stored, how much should be released according to the need. Suppose this is a season of levosets. Levosets will be like peppermints. They will be sold like peppermints. So even then the company AI can tell that so and so production has to be done with the levoset during this period, like that. Summerlo levoset avasram padadu. So then the AI can suggest how to reduce or what else to do. Next, enable to plan and avoid stock ups and shortages also. Optimize for predictive maintenance, produce actionable predictions, orchestrate maintenance effects, maximize pharmaceutical supply chain efficacy. Medicine, last week so-and-so sale has happened. We sold 1,000 batches. We have produced only 100. So try to produce so many more. AI can suggest like that. Demand forecasting, proactive manufacturing, transportation capacity, plan accordingly. Smart automation, and also any other strategic insights can be developed. Next comes the in the supply chain itself, increase operations accuracy, repeatability, throughput by reducing human errors, improving quality compliance, secure process that is resistant to counterfeit. QA for every single batch. Now, when I'm telling in that pharmaceutical company, one of the batch QA was not at all done. So that can be avoided with this AI. Automated quality compliance systems, secure systems shielded from counterfeit and substandard drugs also can be done. Next, coming to the AI and the digital therapy, personalized therapy. Suppose, as I told, not all the patients will have, even if the 2 people from the same family having the same disease, their treatment may or may not be the same. So in order to consider a personalized, suppose a patient is there with a cancer, lung cancer is there, he has extension to bones, and he's having severe metastasis. So I will be writing a plan. Suppose I had a TB patient. Patient had TB 6 months back. Now the patient TB, that is very fast development of drug resistance. I will be doing a personalized plan for that patient. So even for the personalized treatment, I'll be using this thing. So coming to the digital health. So what is the digital health? AI has been utilized, that is WHO has defined the combination of e-health with m-health, that is cost-effective and secure use of information and communication technology for health and related, and provision of health services and information via mobile technology. So, ఈ రెండింటిని కలిపి this WHO is calling it as digital health. Now, currently, the digital health has been a very good front runner for this thing. And also, FDA also has considered the digital health as a convergence of people, information, technology, connectivity to improve healthcare, health outcomes. Okay. So, for that also, we are using the AI. Next comes, there is one more step that is known as digital therapeutics. ఇంతకుముందు ప్రతిసారి డాక్టర్ RX అని రాస్తారు కింద పేపర్ ప్రిస్క్రిప్షన్ పైన. But currently we are having DTX, also another branch of treatment, that is delivering evidence-based therapeutic interventions to patients that are driven by software to prevent, manage, or treat a medical disorder or disease. That is, now, DTX అంటే ఏదో చెట్టు కింద ఏదైనా మొబైల్ యాప్ దొరకంగానే దాంతో ట్రీట్మెంట్ కాదు. 3 phases that this is working. Then only FDA will approve, then only that thing will come under the DTX. Okay. They're used independently or in concert with the medication. So it's not only just mobile app based. Okay. Doctor, pharmacist, they still need, because they will be most of 99.9% they will be using along with the medications. Okay. So how different they are? So we are having the umbrella, that is digital health. In that there is having a digital medicines. Under that there is a digital therapeutics. Now some people will be having insulin pump మీరు చూస్తే. So automatically it detects the blood sugar levels, it releases the insulin. So that is known as a digital. Currently we do not have a digital medicine as such right now, but it automatically releases. So it is much better version of the insulin device. Currently most of this USA people are also having currently this thing. So the dosage ఎంత ఉండాలి, ఏ లెవెల్లో వాడాలి, ఏ ఇన్సులిన్ వాడాలి అనేది డాక్టర్ చెప్తారు. బట్ హౌ మచ్ టు గివ్ దే విల్ బి ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ ఇన్ టు ద AI. నెక్స్ట్ కమ్స్ ద డిజిటల్ థెరపెటిక్స్, దట్ ఈస్ పేషెంట్స్ అలాంగ్ విత్ ద మెడిసిన్స్ will be using the mobile application to manage the disease. Next comes the so what are the features? First of all, ముందు చెప్పినట్టుగానే controlled trials తో validation అవుతేనే it will be included in the digital therapeutics. Algorithms composing the primary active ingredient of the digital therapy. They must be subjected when necessary for the reimbursement to assessments by the HTA. Next, they are reimbursed in some cases by public health services also in England and Germany. Even in USA, they are having an insurance policy wherein the digital therapeutics can be included into the insurance policies. Next, they can be prescribed by doctor, although some therapies that meet all the criteria are offered to the patient directly by the manufacturer. But even then, strictly, it is always better to go through a physician. Examples such as reset. Oh, there is something known as for treating addiction to substances such as alcohol, cannabis, and cocaine. Next comes the for treating chronic insomnia. We are having one more AI. Endeavor RX is first approved video game therapeutic for the ADHD, that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder patients. Next. Madam, but just imagine some people have very price used for anxiety disorders, depressives for the treatment insomnia. Next comes, so this is one of my favorite slides, because this is a migraine management devices. Now imagine there are 5 migraine management devices. Okay, I have closely worked with this thing. I have closely worked with the Neriview. So this was approved by the FDA for the migraine management. Now migraine lo kuda mali different types of untai, migraine episodic ani, chronic ani, severe ani, mild ani, moderate ani. So depending on the type of the disease, ఈ AI మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఎలా పెట్టుకోవాలి, ఏం చేయాలి, ఎంత ఫ్రీక్వెన్సీ పెట్టుకోవాలని డాక్టర్ చెప్తారు. ఆ ఫ్రీక్వెన్సీతో పేషెంట్ ఈ డివైస్ వాడి మైగ్రేన్ ని మేనేజ్మెంట్ చేసుకుంటున్నారు. never worked with a cephalic. And this is gamma, this thing. I have seen this thing also. Vagus nerve stimulation toni migraine management avutundannamata. This is currently not in the market. They have removed from the market. And this is also currently not in the market. They have removed it. Currently, I have closely worked with the clinical trials of the Nerivy also. So I can tell that the doctor suggests for which patient this is ideal and how much frequency to keep, how much not to keep. Based on that, the patient which utilize the Nerivy. So what are the challenges? Again, so as I told, AI only everything anta ade chestundannadi. It's not so rosy picture. So again, coming to the data privacy concerns, integration with the healthcare systems. Patient will come down and ask. Generally, we used to keep the review with our pharmacists. So pharmacists used to first explain them how to apply and everything. I used to write the prescription, and the pharmacist used to utilize it, like how to use, how not to use, and all the pharmacist used to tell. So our time evolutundi, the patient will tell the pharmacist, when you are having so many medications, why I should take this thing. Not at least patient understand chese cheptamu, but at least the relatives, the aju baju wale of the patients, they say, why you are using machine? If the machine only is treating, why we have to come to a pharmacist or a doctor like that? But so that is the reason it has to properly integrate with the healthcare. Even some of the doctors say, I don't want to touch those medicines. I don't want to touch those machines. So this attitude has to be removed. That is what one of the primary challenges is there with the AI. Next, patient engagement and adherence. So patient is like, ఏదో machine పెట్టినారు, ఏందో ఆ machine కింద cost అది ఇది అనేసి. But it's for the patient benefit only, right? We are using. Next, distinguishing details from more general. మనకి హెల్త్ కేర్ యాప్స్, యోగా యాప్స్, ఆ మూవీ స్టార్ సజెస్ట్ చేసిన యాప్, ఈ మూవీ స్టార్ సజెస్ట్ చేసిన యాప్స్ అవన్నీ ఉంటాయి. దే ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్ బికాస్ దోస్ యాప్స్ దే జస్ట్ మేక్ ఇట్ అండ్ కీప్ ఇట్. there is no validation from the FDA. కాకపోతే DTX కి కంపల్సరీ FDA అప్రూవల్ ఉండాలి. And even incentives in the healthcare environment, trials conduction. So trials, as I told, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials చేసినాకనే ఆ DTX కింద అవుతుంది అనమాట. సో రెగ్యులేటరీ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ వచ్చేసేసి we are having international organization for standardization. ISO published ISO IEC information technology rules for the artificial intelligence management system in 2020. So very latest has come. But currently, these are the guidelines. This provides guidelines for the establishing, implementing, maintaining, continually improving a structured approach for the artificial intelligence management system. Even the WHO has published a paper titled Regulatory Considerations for Artificial Intelligence for Health. So they are a blueprint for the rules, regulations, and everything. So it's not like just like that. Suppose I am an software engineer, you know, application, it is a DTX. No, it is not like that. Okay. So future trends వచ్చేసి ఏంటి, artificial intelligence in digital therapeutics కి we are having a huge huge portfolio and personalization and precision medicine. As I told, migraine patient వస్తాడు, the doctor will tell how much frequency వాడాలి, ఎంత frequent గా వాడాలి, ఎన్నిసార్లు వాడాలి, ఎలా వాడకూడదు, the doctor will tell. So precision personalized medicine as per the diseases కి కూడా మనం వాడుకోవచ్చు. So thanks a lot for all of you people, patients. So people who are sleeping, they can wake up now, I guess. So one more thing I would like to end for this session is I made this PPT based on the on the opinion that illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So even we have to learn from the AI. At the same time, the AI will learn from us. So ultimately for the patient's benefit and for our medical field development. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ashwani.
now the session is open for the Q&A. If any one of you have any queries, you can please ask, unmute yourself, ask the speaker, or you can keep in the chat box as well.
I think Ashwani Mishra, you can go ahead. You're on mute.
Yes, you can unmute yourself now.
Hello, am I audible? Hello, am I audible to you?
Yeah. Good morning, Chipinde.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you very much for such a nice presentation. It was all informative, and you have touched almost all the dimensions which are actually important for people like us to learn. Ma'am, could you please tell me what language have you used when you apply this artificial neural networking or CNN while predicting the model for the diagnostic purpose?
Actually, that is a problem. We have not. I was. This did not happen in India. Okay. So this has happened somewhere from the US, this thing. So I'm not exactly sure the what type of the learning model they have used, but they were using at that time, it was only up to the machine learning. It was not like a deep learning, this thing. Deep learning has been started recently with the tuberculosis model in one of the country along with the US collab. So there, what have I, this thing is, I'll let me, maybe it's there in the slide. Just, I'll tell you. Just give me a second. It's not there. So they were not able to tell. Like I did not know the proper name of the deep learning, but they are currently using deep learning. When the initiation was done in the USA, they started using the machine learning only. At that time, deep learning did not evolve so much as of now it is.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Ma'am, could you
Yeah,
please
sure.
advise any kind of web server which can be utilized specifically in for pharmacy people? Like suppose if normally we are going to use a certain drug to see the activity probably through culture media. So is there any web server which can be used in silico to predict the activity of the certain drugs in terms of Alzheimer's specifically?
Yes. Actually, currently that's what I'm telling. The AI model as such is not entered into it fully. So there are many models. Even most of the time, I have seen that Bayesian models have been applied to multiple arenas. It's a very easy to apply also Bayesian model. So maybe you can try with that.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time and such a nice presentation. I
Thanks
hope
for
like
your
I will
patience.
definitely utilize it in the research which we have been conducting in the
Sure.
university. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Sure. Wonderful. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
This is Shwetha. It's a nice session, ma'am, and it's a pleasure to have a nice seminar also. And you've done a great job. And I have a question like, how did AI is replaced in silico design?
In silico design. See, suppose when we are doing an in silico this thing, okay. So what we do is like it's almost mostly like a human observation. I have never, most of the times I'm not worked with the other side of the drugs into the laboratory drugs in silico models and everything. But what one thing we can do is like even when you're doing this in silico models observation, so we one thing that currently has been is like they record this whatever the modeling decisions or whatever the linking has been done. So this is currently in practice in one of the lab with the this thing Europe nation, one of the Europe nations. So what there's like there's no much of intervention. What all the products. So they first inculcate how to observe what and observe and what is the basic input reagents that they have to use. So that they use the whole process is done by the AI itself in the lab. So it's not like only understanding the how it is deriving. It is right from the inception till the report has been come. So all these things will be taken out by the AI itself. So it's happening like that.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Good afternoon, madam. This is Samita.
Yeah, Samita, I think
Yeah,
your voice is
you have
coming
covered.
resounded.
Thank you for your vast information regarding. You have covered almost all the things: clinical trials, PV, drug discovery, and everything. I have one question. what are the ethical considerations we need to consider while using to make a decisions during clinical trials? Normally, many ethical considerations will be involved. No? While involving AI, what are the ethical considerations we need to consider?
Yeah. So for the ethical consideration, see, as a normal, when we are when we are starting conducting the clinical trial, suppose for example, for a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, whatever it is. So first we'll be taking the what do you say, patient's consent and everything. But coming to the ethical consideration, there is only one extra factor that we need to take. So suppose when we are, I think it's coming as a resound. So when we are using the AI in the clinical trials, this thing, so we need not, most of the time we will not be informing the subject because there will be again apprehension. But this ethical considerations comes to that before the start of the trial, you have to inform the FDA that yes, we are using the AI for the analysis. That is number one thing. Number second thing coming is like, see, it's just like suppose suppose if I'm doing the clinical trial, so it will be me who will be explaining to the patient. So the patient need not understand that AI will not be explained. That is number one thing. Second thing is the blood drawing sample will be done by human intervention, but at what is the time to be doing and preferably from which side to do, that will be told by the AI. So before telling to the patient, so I will be telling that from so and so side, so and so ml, so and so period I will be taking. That is number one thing. Now suppose that's the first sample, first thing has happened. Now the second, the AI will be telling the so and so date, like suppose today is Wednesday. So patient has to come again Saturday or something like that. So the AI will be sending a reminder to the patient and also to the PI and also to the unit that so and so time and so period has to be taken the sample. Now I'll be following. So ethical considerations using the AI is like I'll be taking during the consent itself, that telling the patient that this process, this SMS, this information will be given to an outside software in this thing AI, and he need not worry about that. So the patient will be having only one apprehension. Machine लेगा blood मेरा ले मेल पेशेंट कोई सब्जेक्ट लेगा वो लैब वाला लेगा. और एक चीज क्या है, the problem with them is will you be sharing my data to someone? Just like suppose if you go to some restaurant, you give number, from the next day onwards you will keep getting this calls, वो loan ये loan का. So similarly, we will be telling that this all will be confidential. So as such ethical considerations, because we are not intervening with any of the trial study or with any of the aspect of the patient treatment or any observational thing, but only as a supportive measure of the AI. So there, I don't think it's a much difficult thing to manage, and we'll be telling that this will not be shared. So data privacy will be the mostly the ethical problem with the patient.
Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other doubts?
And there is a question from one of the participants.
Yeah.
Siva Subramanian.
Yeah.
So his question is like smartwatch radiation affects our body parts due to radiation. How far AI in smartphone or watch will be beneficial? Especially he wants to know like related to atrial fibrillation.
See, coming to this part, that part is a very this thing. But imagine the same thing I will be asking. Suppose when for the migraine device, for the review, so we had a collab with Dr. Alan Rappaport. So when we were finalizing that device for the trials and everything, one of the factor that FDA asked was a radiation index or the radiation meter readings. So generally, the patient keeps for around 45 minutes for each session, and patient can keep it as many times as possible with a 2 hours gap between each session. Now, suppose if I keep around 10 o'clock, 10 to 10:45, it will happen. Again, 11:45, 12:45. Again, the patient can keep only after 12:45. So we kept a radiation reading, this thing, the maximum times that a single patient can use it in a 24-hour period, and what was the undergo. That is number one thing. So that all these things, the FDA told strictly that it has to be under the limit, at least 1/4 of the limit of the daily requirement for the patient. So accordingly, the software has been managed in order to emit the less radiation. Now we'll be thinking, see, all the phones, they emit radiation. But frankly speaking, if you go to high-end high-end brands, much costly brands, let me be very frank here. So the moment you take a normal like local company Indian made with 50, 100 megapixel camera, okay, and using it, the amount of radiation released by that, and compared to the radiation released by some other device, having 25 megapixel camera, having 4 times the cost of this 100 megapixel camera company, there will be the radiation will be very less. So once I am keeping a DTX AI into the market, there has to be an FDA approval even for the radiation levels. That is number one thing. Coming to the smartwatch or smartphone, this thing. See, what we have observed is like there was one of the case around 7 months back. As I told, there is one atrial cardiac arrest case, AI phone. So even for them also, they have to apply for the regulatory approval. So even if the patient keeps 24 hours that thing, that smartphone, so the amount of radiation that induces, it again comes back to the type of the company that is keeping the device. So the company, it is a mandatory of that company to ensure to release the data that this all comes and the radiation levels includes. You are telling that radiation will be there with the laptop, smartphone, and all those things. But how frequent you are using, which brand you are using, that is what. If you keep a very clearly to tell a China-made smartphone, that will release a very n number of radiation this thing when compared to an Apple smartphone. And there, if you ask the company also what was the reading during your testing period, and they will not discuss. They have not evaluated it like that. And one more thing that I would like to tell is usage of any AI devices, having patient having already a device in their body is always contraindicated. Suppose the device that I was telling, migraine, that is completely contraindicated in patients having pacemakers or any cochlear implant. That is even outside machine also it is there. The patient should not be using, the doctor should not be writing. So again, it comes down to multiple levels of evaluation. What type of device you're using, whether you can use it or not. There are certain companies having smartwatches which they clearly write that not to be used in a patient having epilepsy. So patient already having epilepsy, he cannot use that brand of smartphones or smartwatches like that. So that scrutiny has to be done, and every company is bound to disclose how much is the radiation that the device is emitting during so and so time. So based on that, you can check it out like that. I hope I've answered your question to Shiva Subramaniam.
Yes, ma'am. He has mentioned, thank you for your explanation.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And also just one more point I would like to add. Even currently, we are getting, suppose when I'm telling that AI device is being like depending on the type of the condition patient has, epilepsy or something, patient should not be using. But epilepsy has been, we found that one different section of the patients who definitely need it. Atrial fibrillation also. Atrial fibrillation means suddenly the patient's heart's getting like very big, higher heart rate, and the patient can also die suddenly also. So for these two cases, there are many contraindications. So currently, if they are about to come into the market, so there are two devices which have shown radiation levels of around 2% permissible radiation levels per person to the humans. So with the 2% of radiation itself, they are able to, in the trials, there have been excellent results telling the patient that yes, you are having a risk of developing epilepsy in another half an hour. Like that. And also you are having a risk of developing atrial fibrillation another 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Very important, but again, they have to check depending on the type of the company, type of the device, amount of the time of the utilization of the device, like that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So participants, please, if you have still any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we will wind up the session for today. Okay, ma'am. I think there are no more questions.
Yeah.
So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shwetha, ma'am. You have explained so clearly. So how we can use artificial intelligence in the medical field for diagnosing as well as for the treatment things and all. So thank you so much for that. So now I would like to request Dr. Vaishnavi, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmacy Practice, to give a vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I wish you all happy Pharmacist Day. This is Dr. Vaishnavi from Department of Pharmacy Practice on behalf of MARRI LAXMAN Reddy Institute of Pharmacy. It is my honor and privilege to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the eminent speaker of today's session, Dr. G. Shwetha Kumari, for gracing the occasion by sharing the profound insights on PharmaAI. The session was productive and knowledgeable that focused on the application of artificial intelligence in various fields of pharmacy, such as therapeutic drug monitoring, on the third day of our FDP on artificial intelligence in public health for enhancing pharmacy curriculum and practice. I would like to express my special gratitude to the management of MARRI LAXMAN Reddy Institute of Pharmacy, to our beloved chairman, sir, Shri MARRI LAXMAN Reddy Garu, Secretary Ms. Shreya Reddy Garu, and Shri MARRI Rasheshekar Reddy Garu for their unwavering support and encouragement, without which the event would not have been possible. I extend my sincere appreciation to our Principal Dr. N. Jyoti ma'am and Vice Principal Dr. Arunabha Malik for their constant guidance and support. And I also thank the organizing committee secretary, Dr. Balamurali Mohan and Mrs. Samyukta Mehta for their tireless efforts in ensuring the success of the FDP. I further extend my gratitude to all the faculty participants for your presence and active participation throughout the session. I once again thank you all for giving me this opportunity, for giving the oath of thanks for today's session. Thank you all.
I thank your institute a lot for considering me to be a part of this. Thanks a lot for a part of this, and happy Pharmacist Day to all of you too.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, participants, this is the end for today. We will meet you again tomorrow with a new session with another speaker. Thank you so much for joining for today's session. You will be receiving the feedback links to your mail IDs as well as in the e-FDP WhatsApp group. Once again, thank you so much, all the participants.
Shwetha madam, thank you very much for accepting our invitation, madam.
Yeah. Thank you, Samyukta. You
Shwetha
have been,
madam.
hello? Thank you, Samyukta. You have been very patient with me, actually. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Thank you, Samyukta. Thanks a lot for your patience and everything, for a continuous coordination in this cooperation for me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.